Hello again. Today I'm going to try to remember to edit the end off the video. I'm sorry that my hand went up to the camera. I'm kind of an airhead sometimes. Anyway, 19th day of this year. When I picked this bucket, there went the cat, I don't know if you saw it. When I picked this bucket up yesterday, I forgot to tell you that I remember when I was carpentering and putting down hardwood floor, one of the old carpenters said, hey, if you're any good at laying hardwood floor, you ought to be able to work all day and carry your scrap out in one bucket. Hardwood flooring, and you know, in a way, that's the way I'm getting with drywall. Although drywall is such an inexpensive material, even to buy new, but it's the principle. In the beast consuming part of the neighbor's barn, I should have maybe said that pile of wood with the nails, that I could make that into charcoal. That would be still a better use of it. And right behind it, later on, I'll show you, I have a charcoal retort, and I've done that. Take old scraps of wood and make it into charcoal. I'll eventually show you how that can be done. And the nails don't really matter if you're going to use it in a blacksmith shop later. And still another thing, when I threw that drywall in there, drywall doesn't burn. It's not flammable. But if it gets hot enough, it breaks back up. And it becomes something approximately like popcorn in its texture. And it goes down through the grates, and it becomes gypsum again, really, I guess is what it is. All right, we're going back to Spain now. You will see in the next video my film footage of the train trip from Vitoria, Gasteiz, to Santiago de Compostela. I think this is an O. I get mixed up on that. I think that's an O. Compostela, I think so. Anyway, you'll see that film footage. And then after that, you'll see a slideshow of my daughter's still photos that she took with her camera. Now, I was surprised I didn't film more when I got home. But I think I know why that was. Although I was seeing all kinds of things that were of interest to me, we got involved in a social interaction. A man named Francesco, I think that was his name. I'll tell you how that happened in a moment. But because of that, we were talking and visiting, and I wasn't taking the camera out all that much. But what I was seeing that I mostly remember was I saw irrigated grain fields, the gravity irrigation of grain fields, and I don't think I'd ever seen that before. I mean, I've seen from the air out west, I've seen those big circular things where it's sprayed, but this was gravity irrigation, so they were running the water down either side, and everything had to be, the fields had to be laid off on in plazas, sort of, in terraces, if you will. And I could see all the work that had been done to it, and got pretty excited about it. Water, you'll see, is going to be one of the leitmotifs, one of the themes of this Tour d'Europe. For example, I saw inverted siphons, where in order to drive into the field, the water would be taken down and go under the road and come back up. And then you could drive across that spot. But that was not, it was not pumped. This was all gravity. So they were in effect inverted siphons, that's what you call them. And other things like it. But how we got to meet Francesco was, I was excited enough about the grains that I was seeing that I wanted to know, what are those crops? I thought they were wheat, barley, and alfalfa. But they looked different. You know, this was Europe, and this was irrigated, and it was early in the year, and I was full of questions. And so at a certain point, I took a big chance and spoke to an old guy who was standing there, and I asked him in Spanish, do you know, what kind of grain is that? What is that plant? Is that alfalfa? And he just looked at me sort of puzzled. I don't know if it was my Spanish or maybe he didn't know. But then another man said, That's barley in Spanish. I didn't actually know barley, the word for barley at first, but that was Francesco. He was a young guy, and he saw, or not young, you'll see him, he's old like me, but not as old as the other man. And he realized I was interested, and he was social, so he supplied it for me, and before long he was answering more questions. And we figured out that barley was for beer, and wheat was for bread. And as you see, I was going from language to language to language, and I hadn't, I couldn't remember what the word for wheat was in Spanish or Portuguese. But then we figured it out, and I had been mistaken which crop was which. But that's what basically it was. It was barley and wheat, and some alfalfa, but not so much. Now, Erica, you'll see her. You'll see pictures of her, and I think his name was Francesco. I wish I had his contact. Francesco, if you ever see this video, send me a comment. Say, hey, I'm that guy. Anyway, he was very social, and we had a very good time. Erica was doing most of the Spanish speaking, and I wanted that because she's pretty good with Spanish. My Portuguese is better than her Portuguese. She's pretty good in Portuguese too, real good. But I had a terror of getting those languages mixed up because they are so close, and I wanted to be sure that I would be okay in Portugal. So I was purposely not speaking a lot of Spanish, but she did, and we had a good old time. Oh, I know, one other thing I was going to say about water. In Spain, a lot of people, I think, have a wrong impression of Spain. They think of Spain as all being sort of flat and dry and bulls running around, cattle and, you know, the cowboys. Well, northern Spain is very different. Northern Spain has the mountains, and it has water, lots of water. At one point I said, yeah, I knew about this. I said to Francesco, you know, northern Spain has the water. And southern Spain, he supplied to us, has the sun. And there's quite an effort to transport water from the north of Spain to the south of Spain. I've got mixed feelings about that because it's going to have to probably be massively pumped. A little bit like what happened in California. And that's a contentious issue, I think, in Spain, for southern Spain to take northern Spain's water. But anyway, in northern Spain there was lots of water, or enough. And I think I'll let the videos now and my daughter's still photographs tell the rest of the story, and then we'll pick it up next time in Santiago, Compostela. Okay, see you next time, and I'm going to edit this when I shut the camera off. Bye-bye.